Appreciate it. I want to thank the chairman.
Sure.
I want to thank the ranking member for holding this very important hearing. And I also, first of all, want to thank Director Botticelli and Deputy Administrator Riley, who both came to New Hampshire in September for a field hearing that Senator Shaheen and I had on this topic. And my state, as Chairman Grassley has referenced, has seen a devastating epidemic of heroin and opioid addiction. And this issue and this hearing could not be more timely to hear Senator Feinstein talk about the dramatic increase that we have seen in heroin over our southern border. This issue we know hits New Hampshire. In fact, not only are we dealing with the challenge as we look in 2014 in my home state, we had a 60% increase in drug deaths. And unfortunately, we're on a path for it to be even greater this year. And 250 of those deaths, by the way, were heroin and fentanyl related. So not only are we seeing heroin being trafficked over our southern border, but we also know that a powerful analgesic called fentanyl is being clandestinely produced in Mexico. And we have clear evidence that the powerful Sinaloa cartel has effectively infiltrated even small rural communities in New Hampshire, essentially 2,000 miles away, by trafficking both heroin and fentanyl across the southern border up to Lowell and Lawrence in Massachusetts, and then, of course, or to New York, and then up to my home state of New Hampshire, driving down the price of heroin. They are flooding our markets. They are having more of the people in this country become addicted. And in my home state of New Hampshire, I have to tell you, the stories, I know Director Botticelli, I know Deputy Administrator Riley, you remember Doug Griffin and his powerful story about losing his daughter Courtney. But unfortunately, we're seeing this happen time and time again. So I look forward to this discussion today, and Senator Feinstein absolutely is right to hit on the demand issue too. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act, and this is something that's a very strong bipartisan piece of legislation that not only, as we think about the interdiction piece and all that we can do to improve interdiction, but also thinking about what we need to do on prevention, on treatment, on recovery, so that we can get help to people who are addicted and make sure that they can live quality lives. And simultaneously, in the Armed Services Committee, I'm very glad that the defense authorization that we just passed, something that I was glad to support and push in committee, will also have additional resources to Southern Command for interdiction, to work with all of you to make sure that we're all working together to address these very dangerous drug cartels. On one final point, in September, I also introduced what's called the Stop Trafficking in Fentanyl Act, because one of the things that I've learned is that fentanyl, as Deputy Administrator Riley testified in New Hampshire in September, is 50% more powerful than heroin. And the drug dealers are combining it with heroin, and it's killing people. But yet the penalties in our system are not aligned in terms of heroin and fentanyl when it comes to the powerful nature of fentanyl and the quantities and the penalties. So that's what this bill does, to align the penalties for this synthetic killer with what it is doing to people in my home state of New Hampshire and across this country. So just last week, I want to end on this note. I visited with the chief executive officer of what's called the Granite House in New Hampshire, and it's in Derry, New Hampshire. It's a men's sober living facility, and it's a facility that is helping so many in recovery. And Eric Spofford, who founded this facility, he's in recovery himself. It shows you that there is hope. People can be in recovery. But you know what Eric said to me about fentanyl? He said this: fentanyl is a serial killer. We need to start treating fentanyl and those who traffic it accordingly. And so I hope to address this issue as well today about this synthetic drug that is even more powerful than heroin. Again, I want to thank both the chairman and ranking member and certainly Senators who are here, Senators Cornyn and Session, for your leadership on this and for all that you're doing to address this scourge. Thank you.